Hi, welcome to our digital media production night out project for this Principles of Computer Graphics module with me, Rory, and him, Rob, who's next to editing. In this video we'll be talking a little bit about post-production, pre-production, what we actually did on the film shoot, and then the line concept behind our film. As you drag me down, I will take you in. For this project we really wanted to give the audience a more personal idea of what we consider a good night out. Rob and I both like rock music. We're also into mainstream music, sort of electronic stuff, but for the majority it's all about the rock music for us. So the local club Sound Circus, which plays metal, rock, alternative, was really our scene. So when making this film we wanted to give it a personal touch. There's no point in trying to create a scenario which we would be happy with, but really it's not our thing. So we wanted to film at Sound Circus, this club in Bournemouth. Unfortunately we weren't allowed to, they didn't give us permission, it's far too much hassle, too much paperwork for them. So instead we ended up booking out the loft just over there at Bournemouth University, which was actually a boon. It gave us a lot more artistic freedom. We could have free reign over the set, could create it, adjust lighting, music, all kinds of things like that, which was very, very useful for us. Thanks a lot to Richard Gerard over at BU. We wouldn't have been able to make it without using the loft, so thanks a lot to you. One of the first things we did was consider what the brief said. In fact, one of the first paragraphs, it says that you have to use as a starting point the work of artists you admire and what we've been taught on the course, all the techniques such as parenting, tracking, null objects, that kind of thing. So we really wanted to try and mix animation and live action footage because for us, we're filmmakers. I've worked exclusively in film, Rob's done a lot of After Effects work, but he also is a filmmaker. And we really wanted to play towards our strengths. So for this project, we really wanted to try and show what we're good at and bring animation to that. I myself had to write the script, which was a lot of hassle because I had to consider what I was trying to convey. Unfortunately, originally, the script was meant to be about me. This was my idea of night out. One of my things is wearing face paint. You've probably seen it in my Facebook pictures if you're sitting there in the crit. If not on YouTube, it's probably my display picture up in the corner. We had to cast first. Fortunately, Rob's housemates actually proved extremely useful for this because they were very willing to help. And Jack Sleeman, thanks very much Jack, stepped up to the plate as the main character. And from that we adjusted the script in order to fit his characteristics. I don't know if he's a fan of the band Kiss, but we wrote that in, that he's a fan of the band Kiss. He wears the makeup in the film and such like that, and it's part of the script. In terms of tech, from the start, we very much had a clear idea that we wanted to try using the new GoPro HD Hero, and we were really looking forward to experimenting with the first-person perspective. Indeed, for most of the scenes in the club, we were looking for a first-person perspective. As you'll see in the film, it didn't work out that way because the GoPro just didn't work well enough. We did some test footage, and even in bright situations like this, it just wasn't bright enough. On the screen, there was not enough exposure, it was way too dark, very grainy. And this could have worked for in a club situation. You don't want it to look too polished or it's just too artificial. It has to have that visceral edge to it. Unfortunately, we just weren't able to impart that. In the end, we ended up using a 5D DSLR, which was absolutely beautiful. The quality was incredible. Nice, I think it was a 20 to 150mm lens. We were very happy with the footage we achieved, but it didn't stick to the script. As they say, no plan survives contact with the enemy, and unfortunately ours really didn't. By the end of the evening, there were so many changes made to the script that it just didn't stand up to the original idea. But then I suppose, being the first film, that's acceptable to a degree. I don't know, maybe you guys will talk about that in the crit. For most of the animation segments, we've gone for a very much sort of a Game Boy style animation, either 16 or 8-bit, I'm not quite sure which one it is. But either way, it's a simplistic look for the animation, but there's a reason behind that. We've been taught how to create things in After Effects, swirling colours and things like that, particle worlds and such, thanks to John T for teaching me about that. But that all has it's a bit too set within bounds. The great thing about the animation we've tried to do is that it uses parenting, which allows us to completely manipulate the movement of the characters. And this was taught to us. We made a cool shadow puppet animation, which should be up on the video somewhere here in the sidebar. We really enjoyed doing that in class, and we wanted to bring that to this. So you'll see in the film that we had to cut out the sprites and then parent them and animate them. We use a lot of opacity and bring layers forward and back to make it seem like they're moving, which is a lot of hard work. Rob is still doing it. Using the iPad as a transition between the scenes was really Rob's idea. That was the kernel that sort of this grew from. It was really, we've been given the iPads and they proved incredibly useful this year, as I'm sure anyone on the course will agree with me. But we wanted to bring that into it. In fact, there's a very good video by Flowrider, which you'll find on my blog, which you'll find underneath, which has a brief scene when he holds up the iPad to his face and scrolls videos and pictures across, which I thought was a really cool trick. You know, it wasn't meant to feel realistic, obviously, but it had this cool sense of continuity and layers within layers, which we really liked. In the original script, we hoped to use the iPad to sort of bring the camera in and out of two worlds. As you'll see in the video, there are two areas. There's the film studio, which was meant to be filmed with a real camera. In fact, all of this was meant to be done with a real camera. But unfortunately, we ran out of time. We weren't able to do all that. So instead, we brought the animation forward and brought much more animation to this. Originally, we tried to implement kinetic typography. We were really hoping to utilise that because we've seen a lot of it. Indeed, on our digital publishing module, we've seen a lot of really good examples of that. And originally there were a few that were very good, now it's spiraled out of control, you might say. There's loads of examples of kinetic typography, some of which are great, some of which aren't. But in the end, that was just, it started to convolute the original idea and it didn't add anything. Perhaps for the bit when the main character's introducing his friends, you know, Rob the best mate, Fergus the quiet one, Jack the ladies man, that kind of thing. But it didn't work like that. It seemed to make it very cheesy, and it broke the fourth wall in ways that it shouldn't be broken. For example, when the script was written, God, that was awful English. When the script was written, we very much intended for the camera, the audience point of view, to be a person, a personification of the audience. In fact, there's one scene when the camera character sticks out a hand to pick up a glass and then drinks it and then puts it down again. And that's very much to reinforce the idea that the characters in the film are talking to the person in the audience who's watching, any one of them, wherever they are. Because the audience is being brought into this film. It's very much about immersing the audience in this experience. In the end, I think it didn't quite stand up to that. It didn't give it that sense of uniqueness, and you didn't feel that you were entering this person's night out. But at the same time, it's an experiment. It's our first film of the year, and you know, some we win, some you don't. No plans of to contact with the enemy, and I'm pretty proud of it. I think Rob is too. So yeah, we hope you enjoy the film. Please leave any comments in the bar below if you like it, or if you don't. If you don't, preferably not. No, joking, you can if you want. So yeah, follow our blogs. I'm pneumatictuner.wordpress.com. I'll post Rob's beneath as well. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the film.